Reading Writing Companion and turn to pages 140 and 141 so that we can talk about theme. I'm going to change this to one page view. Okay, so please read this first paragraph to yourself as I read it out loud. The theme of a story is the big idea or message about life that the author wants to share. Usually, theme is not stated directly. To identify the theme, think about the relationships of and the conflicts among the characters. Many times, a reader can infer multiple themes in a story. So let's look at this example here under Find Text Evidence. All right, it says, when I read the end of the first paragraph of The Magical Lost Brocade on page 133, Ping makes a promise to his mother and sets off to keep it. I can use Ping's relationship with his mother to find the theme of the story. So we have this organizer here. This box on the left, what does the character do and say? And then what happens to the character based on what he does and says? Okay, so at the bottom of page 133, Ping promised his mother that he will find her lost brocade and goes off to search for it. That's what he says, and that's what he does. Then what happens to the character because of that? He goes on a 3-day journey, meets a bearded man, and the man gives Ping a plan to find the brocade. So when I combine those two things together, I can come up with a theme or a lesson of you should have a plan when you go in search of something. So remember when we talked about theme, we said that themes are universal, which means when you come up with the theme of a story, it should be something that you can apply to your life. It doesn't have to be specific to the story. Like, for example, the theme is not Ping had a great plan so he could find his brocade. Okay, that's too specific to the story. This theme here is actually something that you can apply to your life. You should have a plan when you go in search of something. And if you look up here at the purple quick tip, it tells you that each reader might infer a different theme. So for example, one theme that you can infer after reading this paragraph on page 133 is that family members help each other. You just need to make sure that you use text evidence to infer a possible theme. You can't just pick something up out of the air. It has to be something that the text supports or that the text hints at. Okay, so let's look down here. It says your turn. Reread The Magical Lost Brocade. Now, it's only 3 pages of reading, so it should not take you very long. It's not a lot. Then you're going to complete the organizer on page 141 to determine another theme of the story. First record what Ping does and says, and then the conflict he faces. And then you're going to state the theme that you inferred. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of help and get you started on the next page. All right, so you need to look for 2 examples this time. Okay, what does the character do and say? And then after the character says that, because the character says that, what happens to the character? So they're related. Okay, so I'm going to help you out by typing something in here. Okay, one thing, I'm thinking back to the story. I actually did go back and reread it before I did this. So on page 134, Ping tells the bearded man, I'll do my best. He tells him this at, when did he tell him that? Okay, yeah, after the bearded man gives him his horse and describes all of the different obstacles he has to go through to get the brocade. All right, so he tells the bearded man, I'll do my best. That's what he says. And then what he does is he travels on the horse to Fire Valley. You can use this if you want. Okay, so here's my one example. So because Ping told the bearded man, I'll do my best, and he traveled on the horse to Fire Valley. What happens to the character because he said and did that? Okay, now I'm not going to give you that answer. You have to come up with that on your own. Then I want you to come up with a second example. What is something that Ping says and does? And then after he says and does that thing, what happens to him? Then you're going to look at all four of these boxes together and okay, all four of these boxes together. And then I want you to combine them to come up with a second theme in the story. So what's a lesson that you, the reader, can take away from the story knowing this information or thinking about this information? Okay? And make sure that you have completed these four boxes before you go back and infer and state a second theme of the story. If you are confused or unsure what to do at any point, please go back and rewind this video and rewatch parts of it. That's the great thing about having these lessons on a video, is that if you miss something, maybe you were daydreaming, maybe you forget something, you can always rewind and rewatch parts of it. You don't have to rewatch the whole thing, rewatch little bits of it. Okay? All right. I know you can do it. Do a great job.